Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach. Hello, everybody. Let's open up that waiting room and let you all in. And for those of you who are watching us live and you want to join us live, but you're watching just a live stream somewhere else, and you'd like to join us live here in our studio as a studio audience participant, you may do so by going to zoom.dailywithdoc.com. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern, and I believe it's 9 to 10 p.m. in South Africa. So depending on the time of the year, of course. So welcome, everybody. If you are here live with us in the Zoom room, make sure that you have that chat on, as we have two beautiful ladies with speedy fingers putting information into that chat with our co-hosts, Marilyn and Phyllis. So I want to make sure you don't miss that. And also make sure that you are watching that profile that says a smile, because that's what those who are watching the replay or the live stream out on all the multiple different platforms are watching. So you'll get to see it all right there, including if we share any type of screen shares. So today is Pharmacist Fridays on Daily with Doc. My name is Becca Dukes, and as the hostess of this program, it is my honor and privilege to provide this resource to an amazing community. So if you were referred to this program by somebody specific, get back with them, tell them thank you and what you liked best about the program. But before you do that, don't forget to like us and share us with somebody else that you can think of as you're listening. And if there's no one to thank, we have a call team of certified holistic health coaches ready to serve you and help you on this journey we call health and finding the solutions that may be causing the problems that your body's going through. You can use 855-949-3377 and get a hold of one of those certified holistic health coaches to help coach and guide you in this journey. Again, 855-949-3377, or if you prefer to email, you can do questions@dailywithdoc.com. And don't forget to let us know who referred you. Again, questions@dailywithdoc.com. This program is being sponsored by Daily with Doc, where you're going to find links to previous episodes, articles to help inform you of more information that you can use to help yourself, and our newsletter. So don't forget to sign up for our newsletter and request a 15-minute consultation if you're not already working with somebody. So today's man of the hour, which I am super excited to be able to have with us, as he is, he doesn't want to be your authority, but he's not afraid to speak the truth. And I love that about him, as he has been educated through allopathic medicine and pharmacy school. And in that, unlike other members of his community in that realm, he's looking more at the body and how it reacts to different things, including nutrition compared to pharmaceuticals. So I am honored and It is an awesome privilege to have my good friend, Pharmacist Ben Fuchs. Hello, Pharmacist Ben. How are you
Well,
today?
hi, Rebecca. Good to see you and the team. Thanks for inviting me,
You,
and thanks for the kind words. I didn't hear you do the listen to your doctor, don't pay any attention to anything we say because we're not as smart as your doctor disclaimer. How come you don't do that anymore?
well, because you don't like it and you
Oh,
always
God.
chastise me.
I
Well,
don't
you give me a hard time. You don't
I tease
chastise,
you.
you
I
do it with
tease you.
love.
I tease you.
So,
But I tease you, but it's kind of important because kind of we kind of have this model in our head that there's healthcare authorities and they're going to fix us. Now, present company excluded, mostly, because even longevity people believe this as well, but certainly most of the general public think, hey, I got a problem, I go to the doctor, he fixes me, and then when he doesn't fix me, we get shocked. And we can't figure out why. And that's because the medical model doesn't have the tools that it takes to deal with the vast majority of our health challenges, which are chronic and degenerative in nature. And the reason they fail and the reason they don't have the tools is because our medical model is focused. It's anachronistic. It comes from a time gone by, from the 1500s, from the 16th century and the 15th century, and it focuses on different particular structures. It doesn't focus on the system as a whole. When I talk about the triangle disease, I'm talking about the system as a whole. The three major determining factors about how the system is going to work, which is how the outside world interacts with the inside world, which is the digestive system and the blood sugar system, and then to a certain extent, the third point in the triangle disease, which I don't even really talk about that much anymore. So we want to start to look at the body as a system, and the medical model can be forgiven in a way for not understanding the system nature of the body, because our understanding of systems only really began in the 1940s with systems theory. Systems theory is this idea that everything's networked and connected, and when you touch one side of a spider web, the web at the other end of or strings at the other end of the web vibrate. If you catch a cold in China, or if the wind blows in China, you catch a cold in South America. Everything is all connected and networked and interactive. And so this idea of focusing on specific systems or specific parts of the body doesn't work. That's not how health proceeds, and that's not how disease proceeds. It's a system. So one of the hallmark themes of naturopathic medicine, or natural medicine, we'll say, which takes advantage of this whole idea of systems, is where you see the disease or where you see the pathology is not where the pathology begins. And so if you want to treat a pathological issue, you got to backtrack. In engineering, that's called troubleshooting. And really, the body is kind of like an engineering system. Health is not about medicine. It's about engineering. It's about fluid dynamics. It's about how fluids move, how systems are all interacting with each other, and the great connecting link between all the systems is the fluids, the blood. That's why all disease is cell disease, but all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. Everything. You can't have a chronic degenerative disease without having dirty blood first. How does blood become dirty? Food, and that gets subdivided into macro food and micro food. That is the stuff we put in our mouth and the breakdown products that affect what we call metabolism. So it's all about digestion and metabolic syndrome. And to me, that's the simplest thing. That takes this entire tangled ball of yarn we call health and simplifies it. Why are we so resistant, Rebecca? Why are we so resistant to just reducing it down to those two great macro systems of the body, the digestive system and the blood sugar system? What's the resistance here? You asked me a question today. You wanted me to talk about one of your patients about brain fog, right?
mhm.
What do you think I'm going to say? What you know
um,
what I'm going to say? You've heard me say it a million times. What am I going to say?
well, one, you got to do elimination.
No, not specifically, but what generally am I going to say? Yeah, we'll talk about the specifics. What am I going to say? What two parts of the body you got to focus on?
The digestive system,
And
the blood.
the blood, meaning we talk about blood, we talk about the sugar in the blood. There's also toxicity that comes in from the digestive system, so that's part of it too. It's always going to be that. Everybody out there listening, it's always going to be that.
Mhm.
Always, always, always. If it's a prostate issue, it's going to be the digestive system in the blood. It's brain fog, it's going to be digestive system in the blood. If it's Parkinson's disease, it's going to be digestive system in the blood. If it's cancer, it's going to be digestive system in the blood. If it's heart disease, it's going to be digestive system in the blood. You name it, it's going to be digestive system in the blood. And I'm a little concerned that that sounds too simple.
Oh.
And that's the concern I have whenever I talk about this, is that people think health should be much more complicated than that. And they want a big complex answer. And I was teasing AJ and other people last week about, I think it was on this call, or maybe it was, I don't remember, it was this call or a call I did with AJ about some guy who had hereditary transerythropoietin amyloidosis cardiomyopathy. And I just thought that was the funniest thing to me. Okay. Hereditary transerythropoietin amyloidosis cardiomyopathy. Was that last week on this call that we did that?
No, I think that was with AJ.
That was, might have been with AJ. Okay. So this guy had this condition. And what do? Don't try to answer the question, Rebecca, but if somebody told you that, wouldn't you go, oh my God, how am I going to ever deal with hereditary transerythropoietin amyloidosis cardiomyopathy? What am I going to do? And that's what happens. We get disempowered by the obfuscation and the complication and the way these words and Latin jargon are thrown at us by medical professionals who we trust, because we're good people, we trust. And so when you hear that, all you got to really know from now on, if you ever hear somebody say, oh, you have hereditary transerythropoietin amyloidosis cardiomyopathy, digestive system and blood sugar system. If they say you got hidradenitis suppurativa, digestive system, blood sugar system. If they say you've got restless leg syndrome, digestive system, blood sugar system, Parkinson's disease, digestive system, blood sugar system, all of it, digestive system, blood sugar system. Just memorize that. If you work on the digestive system and the blood sugar system, almost everything will begin to subside. Now you can fine tune. There's all kinds of fine tuning you can do with the adrenal glands and the thyroid. You can definitely fine tune. With drinking more water and oxygenation. And there's all kinds of things you can do to fine tune. But for most of us, if you correct digestive problems and you work on blood sugar, almost everything will begin to subside. And as healthcare, not necessarily healthcare professionals, but people who are helping people with their health, longevity distributors, you're entitled to do this. You don't need to have the blessings of some medical representative to tell somebody to work on do a food diary and elimination diet and work on their digestive health and to reduce their blood sugar, reduce their sugar intake and go ketogenic and Paleolithic and calorie restriction. We're all entitled to do that. Don't feel like this is outside your ken or your range of understandings. You can do this. We can all do this. Digestive system, blood sugar system, and almost everything will begin to, almost every health challenge will begin to improve. I am talking myself out of a job here. I recognize that. I don't want to be necessary. And any good healthcare professional, any quality healthcare professional should have one goal when he's working with a patient, and that's to get themselves out of the equation and let the patient do it. We've created a healthcare system where unfortunately there's a lot of profit and there's a lot of money to be made, and people don't want to work themselves out of a job. And that's unfortunate, because that's what we really want to be doing. We want to be making our patients and our friends and our family members and our loved ones their own health authorities. And yes, I don't want to be anybody's authority. The word doctor comes from the word doctrine, which means to teach. And so that's what I want to do. I just want to teach. I just want to educate so you can do everything yourself. And that's really what it should be all about. And sometimes people will call me doctor, and I feel like I have to correct them because I'm not a doctor. I'm a pharmacist. And I say, but then I have to remember, well, I am a doctor in the sense that that's what a doctor is supposed to do, is teach. And by the way, the word educate means to educt, to pull out. So when you educate somebody, you're pulling out something that they already know. And people will already know what you're saying to them. When you talk to them about their digestive health, they'll recognize that there's an issue. If you talk to them about how blood sugar impacts the different organs of the body via glycation and via elevated insulin and all the different ways that high calorie and high sugar affects the body, they'll know. People will know. We're not teaching them calculus. We're not teaching them nuclear physics. There's a certain basic understanding that we all have about how our bodies work and what the good stuff is and what the bad stuff is. And that the good stuff has to be put in and the bad stuff has to be taken out. So when we educate, we're pulling out stuff that people already know. When we talk about nutritional supplementation, people already know how important vitamins and minerals and amino acids and fatty acids are. They may be being told that they're not as important by their medical professionals, but intuitively, we all understand that good nutrition is good medicine. And health is not medical as much as it is lifestyle. And so our job, I believe, should be to educt. And our job should be to help our patients and our clients, our friends, and our loved ones be their own health authorities. Our job is to be doctors in the sense that we are teachers and we're educating people. And everybody on this call, especially if you've been on this call multiple times, is fully equipped to teach about the digestive system, just the basics. You don't need to teach all the ins and outs and of all the different hormones and all the different biochemicals and all the different secretions and all the different processes that are going on, just generally about the digestive system, generally about the blood sugar system, because it's really all not, it's not medical. Health is not medical, it's lifestyle. So do you want to talk about brain fog or do you want to answer questions?
Well, let's talk a little bit about brain fog.
All right, so let's talk about it.
So a little bit of my history, Pharmacist Ben,
yes,
is, I had so many things going on with me as far as degeneration of bone and joints. I had connective tissue issues going on, like plantar fasciitis, fibromyalgia, so many different things.
Yeah.
Carpal tunnel.
Okay.
And overweight.
Okay.
And they couldn't figure anything out. So as far as pain-wise, they just pushed me off to pain management.
Okay.
Where with the pharmaceuticals, I couldn't think straight. I had brain fog.
Okay.
In addition to the depression and the depression meds. It's like putting you on all of these different pharmaceuticals that weren't helping.
So what are you saying? What are you telling?
Well,
overall
when we're looking at like flooding our body with chemicals, how can we expect not to have brain
and what's
fog?
the major way chemicals get into the body? Unless you're injecting.
Through the mouth.
Yes. I mean, it's just common sense. And I don't want to be that guy. Eat your vegetables, only eat organic. Don't eat the potato chip. I don't want to be that guy. I hate doing that. I don't want to be anybody's mother. But this represents a powerful leverage point. This represents a foundational place where we can work to modify everything upstream. It's like a pyramid. Your symptoms are here at the top of the pyramid. Doctors want to work at the top of the pyramid. We got to work foundationally at the bottom, and then everything will fall into place. And I use the metaphor of a fruit that's already rotten on the tree. You're not going to fix the fruit. You got to get into the soil for tomorrow's fruit. And that's where the digestive system becomes so important. And we have to it's kind of like a mindset that we have to get into, that food is not about guilt or about good food, bad food, or even worse, good boy, bad boy, or good girl, bad boy, good boy, good girl, bad boy, bad girl. You know what I'm saying? We all have this little child in us. And as soon as somebody hears about food, they hear their mother saying you're a good boy or you're a bad boy or a good girl or a bad girl. And so you got to get past that and start to see it as a point of power, as a place where you become powerful over your body. Food represents a place where you have power over your biochemistry, because the body system is closed, and a closed system just runs perfectly until it's interfered with openings. And obviously we have an opening. That's the mouth. And because we have to eat, it represents a major problem, because now we got to be really careful. And for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, tens and hundreds of thousands of years, we didn't have to worry about it. We just wanted to get food. There was no problems. As long as you found food, you didn't have to worry about whether that food was good food or bad food. A woolly mammoth and, the foraging, whatever they forage for, nuts and berries and honey and roots and whatever they foraged for, they didn't have to worry about whether that was a good food or a bad food. They just ate it. Today, we have a whole new set of criteria that we have to assess. And the fact of the matter is, unfortunately, our food supply has been completely corrupted. And the best we could do is try to work with foods that are as unprocessed as possible. But even then, it's going to be a problem. So there's nothing you can do about that. You can't fix the fruits and the vegetables have been genetically modified to be super sweet and to have the medicinal compounds taken out of them or genetically modified out of them. So There's only so much you're going to be able to do, but what you can definitely do is avoid the super ultra processed foods, the ultra processed foods, which are made up of components themselves, which are not food. So an ultra processed food is a food that's got a lot of parts to it, and each one of those parts are not food. That's what they call ultra processed. And that's what most of us are eating. 80% of our calories come from those kinds of foods. So look, I don't want to beat a dead horse here, but I'm telling you, if you got brain fog, work on your digestive health. If you got brain fog, work on your your blood sugar health and digestive health. And by the way, or your blood sugar health. By the way, I should tell you this also. There's always going to be comorbidities with health issues that transcend the triangle. Triangles has 3 points: digestive system, blood sugar system, adrenal, thyroid. After that, all your chronic health challenges are going to come in as a constellation, as a syndrome. There's going to be multiple ones. Nobody just has brain fog unless they got hit in the head. Nobody just has brain fog, because if you think about it, if all disease is cell disease and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood, the blood goes everywhere. So if the blood is dirty, all the systems are going to be corrupted to one degree or another. Maybe you'll notice one, but this lady in particular had, or this man, whoever that was you're telling me about, didn't just have brain fog. What else did they have? I don't recall. But
They had heart issues.
heart issues. Okay. Well, I mean, there you go. What else?
And also had, and I got to pull it up here because there's like, I get so many questions. Let's see. Dizziness.
Dizziness. Okay, so that's kind of like brain fog, same idea. But what do all three of those things have in common? The blood.
The blood.
Dizziness involves pressure, opening and closing of the blood vessels. It could also involve inflammation in the inner ear area. Brain fog involves toxicity in the brain. And obviously the heart is a blood issue. So it's obvious. You got a blood problem, right? All disease is cell disease. All cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. You got a blood problem. What do? You work on the blood. How do you work on the blood? Well, first of all, you keep the toxins from getting into the blood. That's the first thing you want to do. And secondly, there's things that you can do to support the health of the blood. For example, chelating agents. Chelation is a magnetic attraction that certain things have to other things. You've all heard of chelated minerals and chelated nutrients. Chelated minerals are minerals that are stuck together with something else. Chelate comes from the Latin word for claw. So when you chelate something, you claw it. I think of it like a magnet, magnetically attracted. So you can take certain nutrients, I'll tell you a couple here in a minute, that will actually magnetically attract toxins out of the blood. One of the all-time great chelating agents is plant-derived minerals. So plant-derived minerals act as chelating agents. They'll purify the blood right away. How many of our products have plant-derived minerals in them?
A lot.
A lot of them. Right away. You've got blood purifiers right there. The Fucoid Z, another blood purifier. Vitamin C, anything with vitamin C is going to be a blood purifier. Anything with sulfur, MSM sulfur, Ultimate MSM, blood purifier. Ultimate selenium, blood purifier. Anything with N-acetylcysteine, blood purifier. So you purify the blood. First, you stop the toxins from getting into the blood, then you purify the blood. If she just did that, she would notice a big difference. One of the most important components of the blood is probably the most important component for the body, and that's oxygen. Under conditions of low oxygen, the blood clumps up. When the blood clumps up, that's what dirty blood is. It doesn't circulate as effectively. You don't get blood to the head. Brain fog. You don't get your blood pressure drops when you have dirty blood. Dizziness. And obviously, if you have dirty blood, you're not going to have, or clumped up blood, you're not going to have the same kind of oxygenation of the heart. And the heart's very dependent on oxygen. You're going to have heart problems. These are all so simple, but this is a person probably, I'm not picking on this person, but most people who have this condition will go to a neurologist for the brain fog. They'll go to a cardiovascular person for the heart disease, and they may go to a vascular doctor for the hypotension or the low blood pressure. Right? Is that what you said, low blood pressure?
Heart issues, dizziness, and brain fog.
Dizziness. Okay, dizziness and brain fog. So they probably go to a neurologist and a cardiovascular person. You don't need that. You know, we want to look at the body as a system. We created this medical model. We focus on all the different parts of the body. It's like we don't see the forest for the trees. The body is an emergent system, and you got to look at the entire picture. If you just go to a cardiologist for the heart, a neurologist for the brain, an endocrinologist for your hormones, a dermatologist for your skin, an OBGYN for your female issues, and an orthopedic guy for your bone issues, an ophthalmologist guy for eye issues, an immunologist guy for your allergy issues, it's going to be like the three blind men who were trying to find who were trying to figure out what the elephant was. You ever hear that story? These three blind men feel an elephant. One guy feels the trunk and says, "Oh, it's a snake," and one guy feels the legs and he goes, "Oh, it's a tree," and one guy feels the tail and he says, "Oh, it's a thread." And, you know, they try to identify each part of the elephant based on what they're feeling, and that's what the doctors are doing. They're trying to identify the problem based on their specialties, based on what they're seeing, and that's not how the body works. And the proof of the failure is the fact that we're so sick. It's crazy to me. What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
We got to come up with a completely different way of doing health, and that's what we're here about on Longevity. And one of the great equalizers, as Dr. Wallach has been speaking about for 30, 40 years, is nutrition. That's the theme. That's what every system works on, is nutrition. There's no drugs that every system works on. Nutrition is a great equalizer because every single system depends on the B vitamins, on vitamin C, on minerals, on fatty acids, on amino acids, i.e. the mighty 90, the 90 for life, mighty 90 essential nutrients. All right, so let's answer some questions to show people how this is done.
All right, let's answer some questions. And just a reminder, folks, if somebody shared this video with you, get back with them. They are your primary contact for questions and answers, and most importantly, solutions through the nutritional way. So let's go over to Susan first. Susan, go ahead and unmute yourself. What question do you have for Pharmacist Ben today?
Thanks, Becca. Hi, Ben.
Hi.
Hey, well, let me read my questions. Well, I know what it is. I have a gentleman who has been on Dr. Wallach's supplements for, I don't know, maybe 5 years now, and very consistent, you know, but he's dealing with this ongoing issue with folliculitis. And it's just so irritating to him, you know, especially really bothersome, you know, when he's out walking. He lives in a hot climate, and so it sweats, it itches awful, it's redness. And he does like the healthy brain and heart pack. So, you know, he gets a lot of essential fatty acids, selenium, he's got glucogel. And so when he was on a course of antibiotics a few years back, because he has dealing with some RA, rheumatoid arthritis, it did help. You know, it helped the folliculitis, but then it's all back. And I mean, a lot of what you're talking about, I know he's gluten-free and he's really good with his diet, but it's just an ongoing problem. Is there something else that he needs to do? You know, something topical? So, I don't know. I mean, what can we do? Is he something he can take, something topical he can use to just wipe this stuff out?
Okay. So first of all, hello, Susan.
Hi.
Nice to not see you. I wish I could see you, but nice to hear your voice anyway.
Thank you. See you too.
Susan is, for those of you who don't know, thanks for coming on the call. I don't think you've been on a call before, have you, Susan?
It's been a while.
Susan is an amazing human being, longevity rep, and pastor. Can I say that, Susan? I've heard Susan from the pulpit. She's amazing.
Thank you.
So yes, thank you for that. And I've known Susan for, I don't even know how long, 15 years or so, a really long time. Oops. Hold on a second here. I'm sorry. So anyway, you said so many things here. I didn't write until after you started talking, so I might have missed some stuff. You said gluten-free. He's gluten-free. You said he has a really good diet, and you said he had rheumatoid arthritis historically.
Yes.
And then you want to know about anything topical. And I didn't start writing, unfortunately, until the middle of what you were saying. So what did I miss? What else did you say he had? Anything else?
Well, let me think here. I mean, just, you know, so a lot of bone and joint issues.
Bone and joint issues.
With the RA.
RA. Yeah, that's part of the RA. Okay, what else?
Yeah. And, you know, I think he is on high blood pressure medication.
High blood pressure medication. Can you see what we got here?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, no, I'm not talking. I'm sorry, Susan. I was talking to everybody. I was talking to everybody else, not necessarily to you. But you see what we got here. You've got a guy who's just basically suffering from the only disease, the main disease. Where's AJ? What's the main disease, AJ?
My body's falling apart.
He's suffering from MBFA disease, Susan. His body's falling apart. He's deteriorating, but he wants help with his folliculitis. You know, it reminds me of you're driving down the highway in this 1972 Ford Pinto with the baling wire holding up the bumper, and you got plastic instead of instead of glass in your windshield, and the trunk is being stuck together with some kind of wiring, and you're chugging you're kind of going down the highway, boom, 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 and your mirror's dirty, and he wants to know how to clean his mirror. He's got all of these things going on in his body, and he's worried about the folliculitis. You're not going to treat the folliculitis without treating everything else. Folliculitis is itis, inflammation of the follicle, right? In your skin, you've got all these pores, and in the pore, you've got a follicle. Every pore is like an opening of a rabbit hole, and the follicle's the rabbit hole. And he's got inflammation inside the follicle. Now, first of all, most of us don't even have any clue about how the skin is constructed. So when we have these red, itchy bumps and the doctor says you have folliculitis, we don't really know what the heck that even means. You know what I'm saying, Susan? Like this poor guy, he probably has no clue what the word folliculitis means. So without understanding that, how are we going to be able to fix it? The follicle is a rabbit hole, and it's lined with cells, like any other part of the body. It's lined with cells. Those cells, when they're disturbed in some way, will start to secrete inflammatory factors, and you'll end up with redness and inflammation and itchiness and all the things that this guy is suffering from. The question is how do those cells become so disturbed that all of this inflammation is going to occur inside the follicle? And you answered your own question with the rheumatoid arthritis. And we talked about it earlier. All disease is cell disease, and all cell disease is preceded by dirty blood. So for this guy, if he wants to have a quick fix, go to the drugstore and get some Benadryl. That's a quick fix for him. That's not going to really help the problem. Benadryl is an antihistamine. It'll slow up the release of histamine, and he'll have less itching. But that's not an answer. That's not a solution. Even nutritionists will sometimes say put calendula cream or chamomile cream on there. That's not a solution. We want to solve this guy's problem, add years to his life. So, and by the way, when you do it correctly, his rheumatoid arthritis will improve as well, and his bone and joint health will improve as well, and his longevity will improve as well, and he'll reduce the risks of further degenerative diseases down the road. So I'm assuming this guy's in his 60s or 70s, correct, Susan?
Yeah, he's early 70s, correct.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so most people in their 70s aren't going to want to do all the work. Assuming he does want to do all the work, everything with the digestive system, and he's going to know he's got digestive health issues. Interestingly, one of the treatments for rheumatoid arthritis is minocycline, which is an antibiotic. Why do you think they would give an antibiotic for rheumatoid arthritis? What's the logic there? Well, it kills bacteria. One of the things that goes wrong with the intestine when we have all of these comorbid conditions and dirty blood is a condition called SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth. You've heard that, right, Susan?
Yes.
He's almost certainly dealing with that. So minocycline, has he been on minocycline? That's what they usually give you.
Yes, a couple years ago, mainly to address the rheumatoid arthritis.
Yes, that's what they give you. That's the treatment of choice because it takes care of the SIBO. But it doesn't fix the SIBO. It kills the bacteria. So still has his problems. His rheumatoid arthritis didn't go away. So if he wants to do this right, he needs to work on his digestive health. The folliculitis will go away once he does that also, because the skin's very responsive to toxicity in the blood. And so as soon as he starts making corrections with his digestive health, he's going to notice a difference. Now, you said a couple of really interesting things that I wanted to bring up. You said he was gluten-free, and you said that he has he's really good with his diet. That's a quote. Really good with his diet, and he's gluten-free. Okay? And the reason I bring this up is because gluten is just one of 1,000 different things that could be a problem. 1,000. And we are guilty here in Longevity of simplifying this thing, and unfortunately our patients suffer when we say go gluten-free, because then they go, oh great, I'll have gluten-free brownies and gluten-free beer and gluten-free pizza and gluten-free crackers and gluten-free bread and gluten-free this and gluten-free that. You know what I'm saying, Susan? Because I'm gluten-free. As if gluten is like this evil demon and everything else is perfect, and if I get off of gluten, I'll be fine. That's silliness. That's infantilizing people. It's 1,000 different things that you could be reacting to. Does that make sense, Susan?
Yes.
Corn doesn't have gluten in it. Corn has something else. I forgot what they call it. Some other protein that people can react to. I forgot the name of it. Oats doesn't really have a lot of gluten in it. It has avidin that people can react to. Nightshades don't have gluten in them, but they have solanase, which people can react to. There's all kinds of things you can react to. So everybody out there, if you do that whole gluten-free thing, you're not doing people a service. Gluten is one of 1,000 different things people can react to.
I did discuss with him about the lectin aspect. Lectin.
Exactly.
And
Lectins.
he did do that.
What?
He did do that, lectin free. I mean, I asked him
No,
to
you can't go lectin. This is what you hang on. I'll tell you what to do here in a second.
Okay.
But I want to say the other thing. This is really important and not just for this guy, not just for Susan, but for everybody. He has a quote. He's really good with his diet. What does that even mean? He's really good with his diet. Well, how can anybody who doesn't understand their body to the point where they have all these conditions going on be really good with their diet? It's not possible. Nobody can be really good with their diet, anybody, just because of the way our food supply is, but especially if he's got rheumatoid arthritis and folliculitis. If you understand this concept of first principle, have you ever heard that idea of first principle, Susan?
No.
First principle means when you're trying to solve a problem, you start off with a premise. You start off with a fundamental premise, then you work forward from that premise. The premise of the medical model is, the first principle of the medical model is that your body is just messed up and you're going to deteriorate and there's nothing we can do about it. That's a premise of the medical model. That's their first principle. And then they operate forward from there. That's why it's okay to do drugs and do surgical procedures, because you're doomed anyway. And this is the best we can do. That's their first premise, first principle. Our first principle is it all begins with the digestive system. That's a first principle. Now, you could say, how do you know that's true? Well, the way I know it's true is because, as I said earlier, the body's a closed system and something has to get into that system to interfere with it, and that has to be the mouth, unless you're injecting through the skin. And by the way, rheumatoid arthritis, autoimmune diseases, blood diseases, heart diseases, skin diseases can all happen when you inject things into your skin. And you've all seen those pictures of people who are injecting methamphetamine or crack or cocaine or whatever, their heroin, and they all have the messed up faces and the gum disease, and they also have other problems, cardiovascular problems. But we're not going to go there because most of us are not doing that. So it's got to be food. First principle, it has to be food. There's no other thing. And again, I don't want to be Mr. Wag your fingers and eat your vegetable guy, but that's the only place it can be. And so when you say he has a really good diet, that's like saying I've got smoke in my house, but I can't have a fire because I put fire retardant in my walls. No, you got smoke. You see what I'm saying, Susan?
Yes.
It's just by definition, you got smoke. There must be a fire. Oh no, I got fire retardant on my walls. Can't be a fire. Good. Watch your house burn down. I mean, if you got smoke, you got a fire. And so if you have RA and you have a folliculitis, something's getting into your blood. How else would it get into the blood? This is just logic. So A, this is how you do it. Now that we've, kind of beat a dead horse on the problem here, this is how you solve the problem. A, food diary. Journal, write. Writing does a few things. First of all, it vests your patient. We don't want our patients just doing what we say. We want them bought in. If you tell a patient what to do and he doesn't do it correctly, guess who gets blamed, Susan?
Me.
You, yes. And me, Pharmacist Ben. That Pharmacist Ben, he's a dummy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Dr. Wallach gets blamed. Longevity gets blamed. Everybody gets blamed. So you vest your patient. You say, I want you doing a food diary. Oh, I'm too busy. I don't have time. Just tell me what to do. Well, now you know what you're dealing with. Now you know you got a problem. This is a potential problem patient. So a food diary, number one, vest your patient. It gets him involved or her involved in their healing process. You always want the patient involved in the healing process. Number two, it empowers the patient, because all of a sudden, now the patient can see, oh my gosh, every time I have corn, I bloat. Every time I have oatmeal, my RA acts up. Every time I have soda, my folliculitis gets worse. You follow what I'm saying? He starts to see things. The most frustrating thing, the most disempowering thing is when your body's falling apart and you don't know why. You got the folliculitis. I got no idea. This poor gentleman, he has no idea. He's got this itching, this rashiness. I don't know what else is going on, but he's got the folliculitis. He has no idea what's going on. This is so scary. You know, and folliculitis is one thing, but imagine somebody who has heart disease and he has no idea what's going on. Angina, no idea what's going on. Dizziness or a brain fog, no idea what's going on. When they start to see connections, it empowers the patient. So number one, you're vesting the patient in the healing process. Number two, you're empowering them. You're showing them that there's a connection, that it's not just some random event, which is what they're being heard. Oh, your mother had it. Oh, it's in your genes. Oh, it's a virus. You know, that they're getting this idea that there's a randomness to their to how their body is showing up. We're showing them it's not random. That is so powerful. Whether they then proceed to make changes or modify their lifestyle, that's different. But at least they see that there's something that they can do and there's something they're doing. And then number three, it gives you data. It shows you what's happening as the healer, as the helper, if you will. That shows you what's happening. Okay, now we see, wow, there might be a SIBO condition here. And then you can start to make some corrections from a place of data, from a scientific perspective, rather than just throwing the healthy start pack against the wall and throwing the healthy bone and joint pack or the healthy this pack or that pack against the wall and seeing what sticks. Now you can operate logically and scientifically. You can proceed with data and confidence, right? So food diary. Then you do the elimination diet. He's going to start to eliminate foods. And you can start off with the bad foods, and you can start off with the most likely suspects, which are going to be dairy, eggs, peanuts, legumes, soy. Those are all legumes. What am I missing here? Dairy, eggs, peanuts, soy, legumes, grains of all kinds, seeds, all these kinds. Those are the most likely suspects. Processed foods, of course. Those are the most likely suspects, but you can start off with those. And another most likely suspect is your favorite foods, your go-to foods, the foods you eat when you're bored, the foods you eat when you're depressed, the foods you can't stop eating, all those kinds of foods. That's what you can kind of direct him to, but don't just isolate those foods because it could be anything. And then you do digestive support. And Longevity excels in digestive support supplements, from Dr. Arias's Liver Cleanse to the Daily Digest, to the Ultimate Microbiome, the Nightly Essence, the Ultimate, Ultimate Enzymes. And then always I like people to drink Beyond Tangy Tangerine with the Ultimate Enzymes in their meals. And then also things that strengthen the intestinal wall. When you have leaky gut, as you know, I'm sure, Susan, the cells are they spread out and things get into the bloodstream. So tightening those junctions, those connections between cells and strengthening the connective tissue is also important. So things like collagen peptides, the glucogel caps, the healthy bone and joint pack, the Fucoid Z. Fucoid Z, by the way, is a tonic, a panacea. It's good for everything. And we should just probably talk one day about how amazing Fucoid Z is and why it's good for everything. But the Fucoid Z, you follow what I'm saying? We're working digestive here. Now,
Yes.
you're going to notice a world of difference, or he's going to notice a world of difference just by doing those. But if you want to proceed, work with the blood sugar system. Get him on the sweeties. Lower his caloric intake. Stay away from foods that spike the blood sugar. Drink more water. Build more muscle. All of these are strategies for stabilizing the blood sugar and lowering insulin. And those can all help. But you don't want to overload him too much with too many things. Just the digestive element will show him how much power he has over not only his folliculitis, but his rheumatoid arthritis. And that's the beauty of working this way. The beauty of working this way is you treat everything. You follow, Susan? It's like when you work in the soil, all the fruits come back better, not just the one that you're working on. Does that make sense, Susan?
Mm-hmm. It does.
And that's why you work foundationally. The lower on the pyramid you go, the more bricks on the top of the pyramid you're going to affect. The higher you're up on the pyramid, the less bricks you're going to affect. So you want to be as foundational as you can on the bottom of the pyramid. So all the bricks on top of the pyramid start to improve. The higher up you are on the pyramid, the less effect you're going to have on the whole pyramid. So the more foundational you get, which is the blood, which is the digestive system and the blood sugar system, the more benefits you're going to get across the whole pyramid. Is that metaphor okay? Does that make sense, Susan?
Yeah, it's very good. It's a great
Okay, good.
metaphor.
All right. So rheumatoid arthritis, just let me say this last thing. All autoimmune diseases, all of them, logically should be backtracked to a leaky gut. All of them. Why? Because autoimmunity involves immune activating substances in the blood. They're called circulating immune complexes, or CICs. And doctors will actually test you for a CIC to diagnose a particular autoimmune disease. Well, how do CICs get into the blood? How does anything get into the blood? Through the intestine. Okay?
Oh, all right. Thank you so much,
Thank
Susan.
you,
So I hope
Susan. Great
everybody's
to hear
paying
from you.
attention.
Thanks,
Great
Ben. Thanks,
Thank you.
Becca. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Love you, dear. I hope everybody's paying attention, as I'm getting a lot of questions coming in that directly relate to what Pharmacist Ben is talking about, the digestive system, dirty blood. You work on those two things?
All just work on those two things. And by the way, I call it dirty blood. Your doctor will call it hypercoagulable blood. So hypercoagulable, because it's blood that is predisposed to getting thick and sticky. One of the ways the blood protects itself, think about it, the blood's circulating everywhere. So stuff is in the blood, the body protects itself from things spreading around by thickening the blood. The blood thickening is a adaptive mechanism to keep toxicity from spreading around, from going all over the place. So the blood will kind of thicken. Also, oxygen or lack of oxygen has a thickening effect. Oxygen has a blood thinning effect. That's one of the reasons why oxygen is so important, is because it spreads everything out. It spreads your red blood cells out, so you can get more fluidity to the blood. Drinking more water, by the way, also brings more fluidity to the blood. Fucoid Z, one of the reasons why Fucoid Z is such a panacea, and why it's good for so many different things, is because it thins out the blood. It spreads out the red blood cells so that the blood becomes more fluid and it can circulate more effectively. And oh, by the way, when the blood circulates more effectively, not only does it deliver oxygen more effectively to the cells and to the organs, not only does it deliver nutrients to the cells and to the organs, not only does it detoxify, and those are the three main things that we want to look at, is nutrition, starvation, suffocation, and toxification. Not only does it detoxify more effectively, but as the blood is circulating, it's generating an electrical charge. And this blood circulation is one of the ways the cells become electrified. And the body becomes electrified. And the more electrified we are, the healthier we are. And at the end of the day, it's not chemistry that provides for health and longevity. It's electricity. Chemistry only works because of electricity. We're fundamentally electrical beings, and it's the blood circulation in many ways that provides the zeta potential, as it's technically called, that electrifies the entire system.
Okay, we have lots of questions.
Yes.
Here, this should be an easy one.
Yes.
So Kathy says, is it true it is best not to mix beetroot with protein? She said she heard that somewhere.
I have no idea why that would be true.
Okay.
That's apples and oranges. I don't see it why that's connected.
Okay. Steve is wanting to know, is there a nutritional treatment for aortic stenosis?
Yes.
So we're talking about calcification.
Yes, aortic stenosis is a narrowing of the aorta. Stenosis just means narrowing. And you can have spinal stenosis or aortic stenosis, and stenosis just means that the tissue is narrowing. What causes the tissue to narrow? Inflammation. Inflammation is a protective response. A protective response implies an offending agent. Mm-hmm. An offending agent can only get into the system how? The blood. So obviously you got a food problem. So you backtrack to food. Now, as far as the mechanism, the exact mechanism goes, it's kind of interesting, because like everything else, I'm just going to tell you the mechanism. It does boil. If you really want just an answer, you go back into the digestive system and the blood sugar system, the first 2 points in the triangle. But the mechanism is very interesting. The aorta, the big blood vessel, is lined, like all blood vessels, with cells. And I really want to get that kind of picture in our head because we don't, it's somewhat counterintuitive. You don't really think of vessels as being cellular, just like we don't think of the follicle as being cellular. So I said earlier, you got the rabbit hole and you got the opening to the rabbit hole, that's your pore, and you got the follicle, and then the follicle is lined with cells. And so skin problems like acne, classically, and folliculitis, like this gentleman had, involve inflammation inside the follicle because there's cells, and those cells are being disturbed, and they're secreting inflammatory factors, and that's where you get inflammation. But our brain doesn't really register that cells are in the follicle. Likewise, in the blood vessels. This is really, really important because there's a lot of diseases that we treat with surgery and with drugs because we don't understand, and even the doctors sometimes don't, they understand it, but they don't often think of it, that the blood vessels are also lined with cells. When those cells get disturbed, they will secrete inflammatory factors. All cells, whenever cells get disturbed, they send out messages. Danger, let's get some repair going. We need immune factors here. There's broken tissue. We need stuff happening. Those signals that come out are chemicals, which are called cytokines. You've all heard that term, I'm sure, cytokines. These cytokines are released from broken cells. Whenever a cell breaks or is damaged in some way, it will release signals that say, emergency, emergency, let's get some EMTs, some first aid to the area. Literally, this is what the cells are doing. By the way, that's pretty freaking amazing how this all happens. So when cells are damaged, they send out signals. We need some repair. We need some EMTs. We need some first aid. We got danger here. Those signals, those cytokine signals, recruit, that's what they call it. They call it recruiting other cells to come and repair. In the aorta or any blood vessel, when cells are damaged, they send out these signals, these cytokine signals, and the first aid or the EMTs will come to the blood vessel for repair, to patch up the weakness, or to repair the cells, or to clean out the cells, or to somehow fix the area. Think about it in your head, in your imagination. It's so cool. You've got these little emergency crews that are coming and they're recruited. Literally, they call it recruiting. They were recruited into the blood vessels. When they come into the blood vessels, they recruit, they bring along a payload of cement to repair. It's like repairing the wall. That cement is made up of calcium, which is a major mineral, the most important, one of the most abundant, probably the most abundant mineral in the blood, or in the body, and most of it's in the bone, but some of it's in the blood. And that calcium will act like a repair wall, like a wall. And then they'll bring cholesterol, which again acts like a grout, like a repair mechanism. You get these plaques in the wall. Now, on top of that, if you've got lots of stuff circulating in the blood, such as fats, those will tend to stick to everything as well. And eventually that aorta is going to narrow. And that's called spinal stenosis. But what was the problem? You're not going to fix the that's called aortic stenosis, not spinal stenosis. So what's the problem though? You're not going to fix the stenosis. The doctors don't have any way of fixing the stenosis. They'll just do a bypass. Or they'll give you a drug that shuts down the production of cholesterol so that you don't have any more, you can't make any more patches. The problem is the deterioration or the broken cells in the aorta. So what is causing the cells to break? Toxicity in the blood. Toxins in the blood, particularly sugar, disturb the cells. Other toxins that come in from the digestive tract, something called endotoxins, or LPSs, lipopolysaccharides, endotoxins. Those come in from the leaky gut and from SIBO. And those will also disturb the cells. So what am I telling you here? This is just a fascinating mechanism. I only told you the mechanism because I think it's really cool. I hope you think it's as cool as I do. But you don't even know that. It's the toxicity that's getting into the bloodstream that's causing the problem. Can you fix the stenosis? No. You can do things like chelation, that will kind of clean the blood out a little bit, and that will help for sure. But the real strategy is to make the blood, is to clean the blood so the vessels become strong. You can also build the blood vessels, strengthen the blood vessels with connective tissue building supplements. The healthy bone and joint pack is also the healthy vasculature pack. The healthy bone and joint pack is also the healthy vasculature pack. Also, so it builds the blood vessels. Do you get that? The healthy bone and joint pack also will strengthen your blood vessels and your heart for that matter too. Also, when the pressure is high, when blood pressure is high, that will also disturb the cells. And you'll notice, by the way, that cholesterol deposits only happen in the arteries, the arterial system. They do not happen in the veins. Why is it that cholesterol only deposits in the arteries, not in the veins? What's that about? So you got a circulatory system. It's a circulatory system. Starts with the heart. It pumps to the arteries, then it goes back around the veins. It's only here where you have cholesterol deposits. You don't have cholesterol deposits here. Why would that be?
Is it the size of the molecule?
No, the pressure is higher here. The pressure is much lower here. The high pressure, the elevated pressure, is one of the factors that disturbs the cells that line the arteries. You don't have that problem in veins. That alone tells you that cholesterol is a repair mechanism. Otherwise, you'd have cholesterol everywhere. The fact that you only have cholesterol on this side tells you that it's a pressure issue. It's a damage issue. It's not a cholesterol issue, because if it was a cholesterol issue, you'd have it everywhere. You only have it on this side. The fact that you only have it on this side tells you that the cholesterol is not the problem. It's this side where the pressure is high. And so what you want to do is you want to work on your blood pressure. Now, lowering blood pressure involves a lot of different things. But lowering blood pressure is one of the most effective ways to improve or prevent stenosis and cholesterol deposits and blockages. So all the things you can do to lower blood pressure. Now, lowering blood pressure again involves cleaning the blood. It involves removing inflammatory pockets of inflammation that accrue as the accumulation of poor living starts to build up, particularly in the liver. Inflammation in the liver is one of the major sticking points that keeps blood from being able to circulate correctly. And of course, we know that liver inflammation follows digestive issues and blood sugar issues. You can also throw in toxicity into the mix as well, but sugar is a major toxin. Listen, the mechanism, I've talked to you about the mechanisms all day long. I find them incredibly fascinating, and the body is incredibly, endlessly fascinating to me, and hopefully to you. But you don't need to know that. You just need to know that it starts off with the blood, which means you have to backtrack to digestion and blood sugar, and sugar, which is where the blood becomes toxified, sticky, sludgy, and less fluid.
All right. That's a mouthful, Pharmacist Ben.
Yes. Got 3 minutes.
We only have 3 minutes. Ready for one more? Or no?
Yeah, we can do
one more question?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go over to AJ. AJ.
Let Carrie go. Let Carrie go.
Oh, Carrie, go ahead and unmute yourself, my dear.
Okay, real quick along that lines, and yes, I think the mechanisms are fascinating. So I love hearing this.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I love passing it on to people that are trying to get their health together and understand why I make the suggestions that I do. So along the lines of what you're talking about with the aorta, I have a client that his doctors have put him on 3 different high blood pressure lowering medications. He's 6'5", and in the process, now he has an enlarged aorta and they're threatening open heart surgery. So he's panic stricken over this. So I would like to hear kind of how that mechanism connected. And he is gluten-free. He had cleaned up his diet before he met me and got on the Healthy Brain and Heart Pack, and he was feeling instant results from Healthy Brain and Heart Pack. Like he could tell that it was doing things with some symptoms, but but I'm just I am expecting the aortic situation to clear up, and so is he, but
Is it stenosis? Is it aortic
it's
stenosis?
not a stenosis, it's an enlargement.
Enlargement. Why? So why would the aorta become enlarged? Because it's trying to pump so much blood through, so much sticky blood, so much inflamed blood, so it has to work harder.
Right.
So an enlarged aorta, the aorta is actually the largest artery in the body, is the aorta, and it's responsible for transporting blood from the heart to the rest of the body. If there's inflammation and sticky blood, or there's inflammatory pockets from inflammation in other organs, the blood is not going to move as effectively, and the aorta is going to get enlarged. It's going to have to work harder. So the trick is to make it easier for the blood to move, to fluidize the blood. Fluidization of the blood can be accomplished in many ways. Most importantly, eliminating toxicity. That's the digestive system and the blood sugar system. So gluten-free, again, I'm not going to say it again, Carrie, because I said it already, and I don't want to, beat a dead horse. But everybody should hear this. We should not say gluten-free because it implies that gluten is the only bad guy here. And people then think, oh, I'm gluten-free, and they don't realize that they got all these other things to work on. That's why food diary is so important. What?
No, he's cleaned up his diet like
well, that's all good.
Cleaner than I would have expected.
Say again?
Cleaner than I would have expected.
Okay, well, that's all good, but something is keeping his blood from moving effectively.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he may also have a weaker heart. I don't know if that's the case. But the fact of the matter is the blood's not moving as effectively as it should. Whether or not I don't know, maybe he does need that, then he has to work on making make it easier for the blood to circulate through his body. Water will help fluidize the blood. Fucoid Z can help fluidize the blood. Plant-derived minerals can help fluidize the blood. Glucogel caps can help fluidize the blood, help improve blood circulation. Vitamin E can help fluidize the blood, improve blood circulation. Ultimate EFAs can help improve blood circulation. That's really that's really how he wants to work on this, to improve the fluidity of the blood. Now, if there's any other issues, particularly liver issues, as I mentioned earlier, also kidney issues, he has to address those because those will also make it more difficult for the blood to circulate. If he's not exercising, he should probably move his body a little bit because that will also help the blood circulate. And oxygen will help the blood circulate. And the diaphragm, when you're breathing, you're practicing breathing and oxygenation, you want to move the diaphragm up and down, slow, deep diaphragmatic breathing, because the diaphragm will support the heart. And diaphragmatic breathing will take some of the load off the heart, or give the heart it'll give the blood more of a push. So it will support the effects of the heart. So diaphragmatic breathing can also be helpful. Anything he could do to improve blood circulation from two directions: eliminating the stuff that makes the blood sludgy and sticky, and improving the movement of the blood directly with all the things we just talked about, including diaphragmatic breathing and exercise.
Is it counterintuitive that they've given him blood thinners?
They're giving him. It's not counterintuitive. They're doing what I just told you to do, except they're doing with
the diet. Correct.
Yeah, I just told you how to thin the blood with omega fatty acids and Fucoid Z and water and movement. Right. They're doing it with drugs. Now, the problem with drugs is blood thinning and thickening is super tightly regulated. Okay. And in order to override the body's wisdom, which is clotting the blood, you've got to use major drugs. And that's why Coumadin and warfarin, which was the only blood thinner that was available for many, many years, had such a reputation. In fact, it's rat poison, literally. Now they have biologics that do it, but still they're overriding very, very complicated, complex, and ancient, from an evolutionary perspective, biochemistry that involves numerous steps. Blood clotting takes many steps. They call it the blood clotting cascade because there's probably a dozen different steps that have to kick in for the blood to clot, and those have to be overridden. In order to override them, you need to have some pretty strong medicine. All the things I told you will not override the body's a tendency to clot, but rather give the body signals that it doesn't have to clot. And that's different from overriding, just like we always talked about the rock, hitting the rock versus asking the rock. That's everything I told you is what they're doing. We're doing the same thing, except they're doing with drugs. And I'm telling, my suggestion is doing with lifestyle strategies.
Correct. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. And now I do have to bolt. So thank you so much, Rebecca.
Thank you, Pharmacist Ben. I know you are late for your next appointment, but you are always so thorough with your responses, and we greatly appreciate you giving that time.
I appreciate everybody. Thank you. I'm gonna bolt. Bye, Susan and Carrie and Phyllis and Marilyn.
Oh, we've got a whole house full today. Pharmacist Ben here live with us. So have a great weekend. Be safe.
Bye. Happy holidays. Happy Memorial Day.
Yes, happy Memorial. And if I could get our co-hosts up on the screen with me, it is fantastic that we don't have to do this all by ourselves, as we have an amazing team. I am very, very blessed. So everybody, I know we didn't get to all the questions. Please email us questions@dailywithdoc.com. We will get responses and answers to you. Let us know, again, you're working with somebody specific so that we can make sure that we direct you in the right direction as far as where to get the products that are solutions to what the symptoms are that are going on within the body. So, digestive system, work on cleaning up the blood. And then if that's not enough, you go into the thyroid and adrenals. Triangle of health, folks. And for those of you who want more information about brain fog, you can go to clearbrainfog.com. We've created that little website that has more information about brain fog. We also talked about connective issues and strengthening the connective tissue within the body. You can go to topshelfcollagen.com, get some more information about collagen and the solutions that we offer with that as well. And there's a lot more to come. So I just want to do a shout out and a thank you to our co-hosts that we have on the screen with us today. We've got Phyllis, and well, I'm going to do Phyllis and Marilyn because they're both doing a fantastic job putting information into the chat. Phyllis is grabbing also those questions from out on YouTube and Rumble, bringing them in so that we have those saved. And again, we didn't get to your questions@dailywithdoc.com so we can get answers to you. So thank you, Phyllis. Thank you, Marilyn, as you both are just doing such a fantastic job. We have Albert, who's letting people in. So if you're here, it's because Albert said, hi, come on in. So thank you so much, Albert, for all you do at almost the middle of the night in South Africa. And Rod, thank you for being here and bringing those questions in from clients and also the different platforms. Thank you. And AJ, for making all of this, distribution of information to all the different platforms. Thank you for being the individual that has really pushed to get us out there. And we greatly, greatly appreciate you. And to my executive production manager, we just want to say thank you, who's putting everything together, putting the graphics, pushing it out, and making things pretty. So thank you, everybody, for being here with us on dailywithdoc.com. Again, Monday, Thursday, Friday, from 12 to 1 p.m. Pacific, 1 to 2 Mountain, 2 to 3 Central, 3 to 4 Eastern. And if you're in another time zone, just ask your favorite search engine, what time is it in my time zone at 12 p.m. Pacific time? And your search engine will be absolutely excited to help you. You are watching Daily with Doc and Becca, sponsored by dailywithdoc.com. You're back with the person that shared this program with you. And if there is no one to thank and you've never tried the products before, give us a call, 855-949-3377. Until next time, have a fabulous weekend and be safe. Bye for now. Welcome to Daily with Doc and Becca. This program is for educational purposes only. The statements in this program have not been evaluated by the FDA. The content is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases, nor is it intended to take the place of your primary care physician. Testimonials are shared as individual experiences of the individual sharing their testimony. Results vary and may not be typical. We do not make any claims regarding health or income. As an empowered individual, you do have options available. We are honored to have a founding father of the science of epigenetics guiding us with the best options to obtain or maintain optimal health, Dr. Joel Wallach.